Hello there, my name is Quade. I'm a first-year graduate assistant student at Fresno Pacific University.
I'm Jimmy Guzman. I'm a second-year graduate assistant here at FPU. And today we want to tell you about our lesson plan, which was titled Posture, Biomechanics, Ergodynamics, and Their Relationship to Therapeutic Interventions, and Do They Really Even Matter?
There was two roles. I was playing the role that facilitated the team teaching aspect of everything, which encompassed Jimmy's teaching method for the class.
And I did Kolb's experiential learning theory, which I explained before in previous assignments, which is basically the breakdown in a complex manner of 4 different learning styles. We would most likely recognize them as kinesthetic, audio, visual, reading, and writing.
The two of us utilized these two teaching methods through joint planning, which we engaged in copious amounts of hours of, joint teaching, and a little debate-infused dialogue within the class. There's a couple of takeaways that we both had individually. Me personally, I thought the teaching was supposed to be simple, but it was very complex. It was hard to keep and maintain the attention of these students, which is to be expected. On a positive note, engaging in this class with somebody who is competent in the material, like I am myself, makes it very fun and a lot more effective at getting the message across to the students. Yeah. One thing I would like to take away from it, though, is that using different learning styles has its benefits. However, it would be better if these classes were a little more intimate and broken up to their respective learning groups, because that's a lot of moving parts, and to teach 4 different learning styles in one class, it's hard to do.
And then my 3 takeaway points from doing this lesson plan was that really a lot more goes into teaching correctly than I originally thought. So I have a lot more respect for it now. Also, teaching to all learning styles is far easier said than done. It takes a lot of time, a lot of planning. You basically have to make a lesson plan and angle it to 4 different learning styles. So it takes a lot more work. And also, the biggest thing I realized that it is difficult to stay motivated as an educator when the students have trouble staying engaged themselves.
Yeah. To quickly summarize the class, we wanted 20 or so athletic training students. However, with time constraints and just the hastiness that we had to get this done in, we only got about 6 to come to the class. So the rest of the information is kind of hypothesized based off the findings we had with these students. It was a classroom lecture, 9 a.m. in a large class on campus with enough space for everybody to engage and be involved with one another.
So to quickly cover our lesson, which is attached in the assignment here as well. In short, we started the class with a pre-lesson survey, which is part of Quade's team teaching, and that addressed the students' perceptions of their own values. And we would come back later at the end of the class and give a post-lesson survey as well. Hypothetically, for the Kolb's experiential learning theory, we gave the students a learning style questionnaire in the beginning of the year so that they came into this class already knowing what learning styles they were or what learning styles they excelled at, and they already had a background in learning from that direction. So basically, we started the class with a video, which covered a little bit of posture and ergodynamics and biomechanics to get the students engaged. And then after that, we separated them into groups, 4 groups, depending on their learning style. Once in their groups, we gave them definitions of the three posture, ergonomics, biomechanics, and told them the fine line differences between the 3. And then we made connections between the dysfunctions and therapeutic interventions. So we gave them examples. We also taught them from different angles per their learning styles. So for example, I did a skit where I was a kinesthetic learner having a dysfunctional biomechanical problem, and Quade played the role of the observational student who observed me having the biomechanical dysfunction so that they can learn from different angles. Once we were done with the actual lesson, we gave them an exam, which was multiple choice, and they had to look at a picture and a classmate doing a dysfunctional movement or a posture or position, and they had to choose the correct dysfunction and the correct therapeutic intervention that's correlated to that dysfunction. Hopefully that made sense. And then after the exam, we made it interesting where we opened the class to an open dialogue where we asked students what they got for certain answers, and this way they could talk about how they came to an answer through their learning style, and all the students could learn from a different angle and see how you can learn from different angles and different learning styles. And then, like I said, after it was all said and done, we gave them a post-lesson survey for the team teaching aspect that addressed specific learning gains and student impressions.
Moving on now, we're going to talk about how we met our stated student learning outcomes. Student learning outcome number 1 is in regards to posture, and it states that the student will be able to correctly analyze a pseudo-patient's general static posture, discuss the implications, and determine the need for therapeutic intervention by using their preferred learning style, which will be assessed via written response analysis per individual student, requiring a minimum score of 3 out of 4, which is our exam at the end of the class. This was we were very effective at meeting this goal because of the 6 students that we taught. All 6 actually identified the dysfunction and the implication and its need for therapeutic intervention correctly. What we noticed was that there was very minimal pre-education needed coming into this class when it taught, in regards to posture. It was very simple to understand, very straightforward. There's really no problems. The students understood it very well, and there was no hiccups.
For our second student learning outcome for biomechanics, it was similar but slightly different. Our SLO number 2 stated that the student will be able to correctly explain biomechanical issues and concerns in a pseudo-patient's throwing mechanics and determine the need for therapeutic intervention by using their preferred learning style, which will be assessed via written response analysis per individual student, requiring a minimum score of 3 out of 4. Once again, the exam that we gave. So we decided that we were moderately effective at meeting this SLO because the moving part of evaluating biomechanics. It's easy to show students what biomechanics are and to show them in pictures and certain videos, but when it comes to real life and studying a moving patient, it's a lot easier said than done. So we realized that the students need more clinical practice with supervision and expertise to really understand the concept of biomechanical evaluation. And we realized there's a reason why biomechanics is its own class in undergraduate programs as well.
SLO 3 is in regards to ergodynamics and simply states that the students will be able to assess the pseudo-patient's daily ergodynamics and determine the need for therapeutic intervention using their preferred learning style, which will be assessed at the end of the class. We're effective at this pretty highly effective. Relatively the same for most people. I think we had one student miss a part of it, but other than that, it was very simple and very easy to understand. You don't need a lot of prerequisite knowledge for ergodynamics. As long as you get the definition, we covered everything that they needed within the class. It was very simple, very straightforward. Once again, nobody got left behind, and any questions that were asked of the students were easily answered, and we were able to move on very quickly.